So Phenomenal is an exhibition that took all summer to install. We began downtown with our 2 buildings on the Kettner Boulevard and then moved up to La Jolla in September and installed these galleries with challenging works made from resin, some paintings, some wonderful glass sculptures, architecturally built out environments by Bruce Nauman and Eric Orr, and ended up with a drawings gallery that documents process by all of the artists in the exhibition. It was something that required great skill from our technical crew and something where we got a great deal of help from external advisors, particularly from the Getty Conservation Institute and the Getty Museum. Dwayne Valentine's diamond column here in our Ferris Gallery was one of the most technically difficult installations to achieve for Phenomenal. The piece weighs over 1,500 pounds and it's very fragile, but it's also very slippery. So a special mechanism had to be built, a cradle to move it around, and a giant rigging structure was built around it to place it within the gallery.
It began with figuring out where the piece was going to get placed. That kind of decided how we were going to install it, and then we found out that the Getty was going to be installing their piece, and I had a chance to go see them install theirs, and I took notes and photographs and things like that, and then came back to San Diego and worked with a company called Make Fabrication that's located in San Diego, and they helped me devise a clamp. The piece has a really small footprint. It's 1 foot by 4 feet. There's no tilting involved with the piece. It has to be lifted straight up and down, and that's where the clamping method came in.
At any given time, there was between 6 and 8 people helping to stabilize it and take the weight, but most of the work was done with the clamp and the gantry. We had the clamp itself hooked up to the gantry. We removed the cradle, had just the piece hooked up to the gantry, hanging, about 1 inch off the floor, and we had to adjust it slightly with Robin, the curator, and Dwayne, the artist. And once we got it into the place they liked, we very slowly lowered it down and sat it on the floor, removed the clamp, and that was that.
Even though it's very large and very dense, it is also so reflective that it appears to be transparent. So it's both very present and from some angles almost invisible.
I really enjoyed the pieces in this room, but it took a little time to get used to everything. And I tried to step out of the way of some of the pieces, some of them being a little more reflective than others, and tried to get out of the way. I found that looking at myself in the piece, which is kind of an interesting thing too, to be able to be in a piece, in a part of it.
So in this room particularly, I really like the James Turrell. He's my favorite artist in the show, and when I came in here, I saw a piece that he did in his studio in Santa Monica, and it was directed by him in his room, how he controlled the light coming into the space. So it no longer exists because it was only for that space in his studio, and it's just fascinating to see the photos and how he conducted his pieces, and I really enjoyed it.
The show is one of the most beautiful shows I've ever seen here, particularly at this museum, and for me, contemporary art has opened up so many worlds, and this show in particular helps me remember that you can always look at things differently, that you should always look at things differently from a lot of different perspectives and in a lot of different lights.